Israel Adesanya versus Nassourdine Imavov was announced earlier this week. The fight takes place February 1st in Saudi Arabia, and it's a super high stakes 5 round main event. On the side of Adesanya, he's looking to snap a 2 fight losing streak and stay relevant amongst the middleweight elites. Whereas on the opposite side, Imavov is looking to make a statement and break into the elite of the middleweight division. They're truly in opposite career positions. And on today's video, I'm going to give my elaborate early prediction and breakdown, as well as my reaction to this fight. And I'm also going to preview the rest of the UFC Saudi Arabia fight night that's shaping up to be an absolute banger card. Now, I'm doing things a little bit different than normal here, okay? I got my own graphic that I brought up and kind of a PowerPoint-esque slides that we're going to look through for the fight. Now, first thing I want to talk about is the strengths of Israel Adesanya, and then we'll go into the weaknesses, the side of Imavov, strengths and weaknesses, and then more of an elaborate breakdown of what I think is going to happen when these two tangle. Now, first and foremost, Israel Adesanya, even though he's 35, he still has very high caliber counter striking abilities. His reflexes are on point, but he's definitely not as precise or as fast as he once was, but still amongst the best in the world as far as his kickboxing skills and his timing with striking. Now, he is a master from distance, and where he's really going to thrive is striking from range in this fight, especially because he's going to have the reach advantage by about 5 inches over Nassourdine Imavov. Honestly, against Dricus du Plessis, he didn't look bad in close range either, mixing it up well with his boxing skills and especially his shots to the body. Now, he does have very nasty kicking skills when he wants to be precise and accurate with it. Thing is here, Imavov will probably be looking to crowd him. So how will he fare with throwing the kicks? Because that will open up the opportunity for Imavov to get more so in the boxing range, where I think is his best area in the fight, where he wants the fight to take place. Now, we know Adesanya has KO ability. I'm saying KO ability, but I'm not saying KO power. Why is that? Because Adesanya's knockouts are not so much of pure force, but rather setting the shot up perfectly with his ability to counter strike and manage range. He's not a one-shot knockout puncher. He doesn't have the power of somebody like a Francis Ngannou, the late Anthony Rumble Johnson, or even a middleweight example, somebody that's heavy-handed on the come-up right now, like even a Joe Pyfer, who's a one-shot knockout puncher, not necessarily a setup shotter, or even Alex Pereira, who has true one-shot knockout ability. Adesanya gets his KOs by accuracy and timing as opposed to just throwing bombs. Now, he is a proven winner too. Even though he's currently on a 2 fight losing streak, throughout his career, Izzy's been a winner. He's one of the best middleweights of all time. Many will argue he's the best middleweight of all time. So there's a lot of true strengths that he's bringing into this fight. And he's definitely by far the best fighter that Nassourdine Imavov has ever seen. But there's some weaknesses with Adesanya, especially a 35-year-old Adesanya. More than ever, he struggles with pressure. You saw it against Dricus du Plessis. The reason that the fight really ended in the way that it did is he had a hard time dealing with the awkward looping shots of du Plessis, which honestly is his other weakness. He's kind of thrown off by wild striking and closer boxing range. And he decides to try and evade by like turning away and running, and he gets caught by more big punches, eventually dragged to the ground and submitted. Because let's be real, as good as Israel Adesanya's takedown defense was in his prime, he is a low caliber grappler. He doesn't bring any bit of offensive submission threat in fights and relies on takedown defense probably more than anything to keep the fights in his best area, which is striking. Overall, doesn't have an elite get-up game and doesn't have the best submission defense at this point. I mean, the way du Plessis got to his back and broke him, it left me with some serious questions and reservations about where Israel Adesanya is as far as his overall ability at 35 years old. I still think in the striking, he's hyper elite. But when fight gets dirty and when fights get rugged, He doesn't thrive and shine in the way that in his prime I feel he would have. Now, granted, Adricus du Plessis is always a hard fight for Israel Adesanya, and Adesanya was never a high caliber grappler, but for the most part, he always had the A tier takedown defense and wasn't really put in to these compromised grappling spots. Now, to be fair, Nassourdine Imavov is not so much of an offensive wrestler, right? He is Dagestan blood, but his game is not built upon takedowns. He does have relatively decent trips that he could mix in, but a lot of his strong grappling work is using his own defensive abilities. Now, truth be told, a losing streak and being past your prime are weaknesses too. There's much lower momentum on the side of Israel Adesanya at 35 years old as compared to the 28-year-old Nassourdine Imavov who's surging up the ranks. I think these are five legit weaknesses. You can say I'm pulling at straws by throwing losing streak and past his prime in there, but I think most of you will agree momentum is a massive factor in the fight game, and being past your prime is also big. Now, I get it. Adesanya is 35 at a weight class where normally fighters can still thrive in their later 30s, but ultimately being hyper elite and now taking on one of the best up and comers in the game who's really finding his own and is improving each and every time, is a very tall task for Israel Adesanya. As good as he looks striking with du Plessis from distance, let's not forget that he struggled in the later phases of the fight with the pressure. Let's not forget that he wilted late and kind of gave in on the ground. He gave his back and he gave up. Imavov, I don't believe has quitted him at all at this point. And I think he truly sees himself amongst the elite and he's chasing the championship. And that's why for the strengths of Nassourdine Imavov, obviously the technical strengths will be his patient pressure ability. Imavov is a pretty calculated striker, kind of reminds me a bit of Gegard Mousasi at times, but I think even more elusive and a little bit more dangerous too with his offensive boxing. He has really nasty hooks. I'd actually say that Nassourdine Imavov's boxing skills are a bit underrated, and I'm going to quickly play just a little clip for you guys. Nassourdine Imavov was hitting the pads with Freddie Roach. This is, 2 months ago? And I just want you to look at the way that he throws these hooks. Just look at the snap. Do you see the speed on the hooks? You get where I'm coming from? I don't think I'm reaching by hyping up the ability to rip power hooks by Nassourdine Imavov, which I also think is a big factor in this fight against an aging Israel Adesanya. When they get inside of the boxing range, I think Izzy's going to struggle a bit. Now I'm going to jump back to where we were with the Imavov strengths. He's a well-rounded guy, and I would say offensively, he's definitely better at grappling than Israel Adesanya, but truth is, Izzy isn't likely to be the one on the offensive looking for takedowns unless he gets hurt with a big shot on the feet. And the way Nassourdine Imavov is showcasing boxing and ripping those hooks, and even the boxing that he showed in moments against Brendan Allen, and the fact that he was able to hurt Jared Cannonier, I do think he has the power where he could potentially stun Israel Adesanya in striking and then find his way to a dominant grappling position and exploit Adesanya's most clear weakness, which is grappling. Now, another factor about Nassourdine Imavov that I like a lot is he's proven to get better as fights go on. We've seen it time and time again. Like, he's starting to actually really find his flow going longer in fights. Now, on the contrary, earlier in his career, I would say his cardio may have been a weakness. And who knows, maybe these are just matchups that perfectly work for him and he's been able to thrive and look solid later in fights. In his last bout against Brendan Allen, it was only a 3-round fight. This is a big jump for 5 rounds with Adesanya from 3 rounds with Brendan Allen. But you have to also favor his surging momentum as an absolute strength in this fight. You have to, because it's a factor. He does have surging momentum. It is a strength in this fight. It's a major facet of the game. It's his ability to thrive in boxing, right? And his confidence too, and a well-rounded tool set, which I think is going to come very in handy with Izzy. Now, he does have weaknesses. It's not like Imavov is Mr. Unbeatable. We've seen him lose. At the bottom, you see a joke there. He does have an L against Phil Hawes. Now, this was many years ago. He's a lot better than the fight against Phil Hawes, but damn, long time ago, he did lose to Phil Hawes. This is also the biggest fight of his life, and I'll assume also fighting in Saudi Arabia, there could be some extra nerves because he's a damn main eventer against the former champ and many people's GOAT middleweight. Now, he's still very young. He's in his late 20s, but I do think he's hitting his stride, and I really feel that he's getting better each and every fight. So still young, that could even be a positive, though. But I had to find 5 weaknesses. Now, we've seen him slowed down. I should have put slowed, but we've seen him slow in fights, right? We've seen it before. Earlier in his career, like against Phil Hawes, he slowed down. Late against Buckley, he slowed down a bit. He's looking better as of recent with wins over Dolidze, Cannonier, and Brendan Allen. He seems to have found his flow, but he does have minimal 5-round experience. What did he do? The 5-round UFC main event against Strickland? I guess that's fair. He did fight Strickland in a 5-round main event. Still doesn't have the same level of 5-round experience as Izzy, and he lost that fight to Strickland, as did Adesanya, and that was at 205, fought Dolidze 5 rounds. Minimal because there's been 2 5-round UFC fights for him. He's done it against Sean Strickland with double checking, and he's done it against Roman Dolidze. Outside of that, it's 3-round fights galore. Now, if I look into his late run, even in Aries, man, he was fighting 3-rounders. I believe he's been 5 rounds twice in his entire career. I'm looking through his entire run from, the French scene. And yeah, 3 rounds. I'm seeing 2-round fights. He's been 5 rounds twice. Israel Adesanya is a proven champion that has been 5 rounds time and time again. It is a weakness to lack the experience in championship rounds. But to be fair to Imavov, he's looked pretty good against Dolidze, and losing to Sean Strickland in a weird situation where the fight was a short notice replacement and Strickland coming in, and that fight also being at light heavyweight. Still factors, though. But the loss to Strickland, he's looked way better since then. And his no contest against Chris Curtis, if not for the clash of heads, I think he was getting a clear win. Now, when I look at the fight, I'm going to give you my pick out the gate. I'm covering it a little bit. I'm so excited. I'm covering it. I'm trying to block it. I'm going Imavov decision. He could end up locking a submission too. So my official pick, honestly, I'm going to say decision or even submission. It wouldn't be mind-boggling if he club and subbed Israel Adesanya. And maybe he gets the KO. The method of victory is not really what I'm pushing so strongly here, because I do think there's a chance that he hurts Israel Adesanya with a big left hook. But he could also be in a competitive 5-round fight where he outworks and outdogs the aging Israel Adesanya and truly proves himself as the next guy to watch on the come-up. Now, when I think about the odds for the fight, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Imavov at plus 160, with all of these aspects that I think favor him, makes him a tremendous underdog, especially this early. I'm sure there's a chance the line gets closer. I think a lot of people are looking at Nassourdine Imavov's recent fights. When you do a little film, you're going to say, damn, he's coming on strong. He's looking good. He's getting better each and every time. And the style that Israel Adesanya brings is a style where I believe Imavov will shine the most. Adesanya is going to have to outstrike Imavov in a 5-round fight and maybe knock him out. I don't think that's likely. At 28 years old, nearly 29, Imavov is absolutely primed. Imavov's, I think, in great physical condition and getting better and better each and every time, whereas Adesanya is holding on to his skill set at best. But in all actuality, he slightly regressed. I think his grappling has looked worse than ever before as of recent. I also think he struggled with pressure worse than ever before. He took a lot of damage in the fights against Alex Pereira, and Israel Adesanya is 1-3 out of his last 4 fights. Before that, he's 23-1 as a pro fighter. So most of his career losses have been over the past 2 years. That's a sign of somebody falling out of their prime. Now you could say, oh, but he beat Alex Pereira. That was like his last hoorah moment. Him taking out Alex Pereira was the final stand, I feel. Then he got wrecked by Sean Strickland. And then he got outdogged by Dricus du Plessis. Du Plessis wanted it more. And I feel like Imavov's going to want it more too. Now, for you guys that don't know about the implied probability, what these odds are saying is 65% of the time Izzy wins. I feel like that's such a stretch. I feel like that's crazy. You could call it a 50-50 fight. I feel like Imavov probably has the 65% chance. I think looking at abilities, if you take names away, you take the Adesanya name away, you take the legacy away, and you look at what he's shown us as of late, To me, Imavov's the favorite. And I think Imavov is a very deceptive underdog here because he has much better than a 38% chance to win. I think that he's definitely in the fight. And at plus 160, I think it's kind of crazy. It's them choosing to back the resume of Israel Adesanya as opposed to what he's shown us. Guys, and you know it. You've seen it. He doesn't have the same precision. He doesn't have the same speed. He doesn't have the same explosiveness. And he doesn't have the same heart, though. He broke against Dricus du Plessis. He got wobbled by the wild shots. And Imavov is going to be able to crack him on the inside and make this a dirty fight. The thing is, the implications of this fight, like what's at stake, Adesanya is trying to hold on to relevancy. And like Imavov is a guy that could be champ. Imavov could at the very least be fighting for the belt. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. Imavov's major talent. And he's getting better each and every time. He's proven to us that he's getting better each and every time. We've seen the evidence of it. Adesanya, as of late, you'd say he's getting worse. Who's to say now he's going to look better fighting in Saudi Arabia? He's going to look better against Imavov this time? Imavov is a more technically proficient striker than du Plessis. Though du Plessis is an absolute dog, and I'm not saying Imavov is going to dog walk du Plessis, but I could see that being a hard fight for DDP. Imavov's technical striking game with his defensive grappling skill. I know against Brendan Allen in the first round, he got grinded on, but Allen did nothing from top. All he did was secure top position and hold Imavov down. Imavov then was able to stop the takedowns coming his way, reverse position, and have success of his own working on the ground. And if we have Israel Adesanya, right, probably not bringing in much of a grappling threat, I expect Imavov to be more of a flow-based pressure style in this fight, backing Adesanya up. I think he can hurt him with hooks in this fight. I think he can make him uncomfortable and press him up against the cage. And don't be shocked if Nassourdine Imavov mixes in a takedown or two. A trip, most likely. I think these are real possibilities of outcome. I feel as though you have to look at the turn of the tide, right? This is Nassourdine Imavov's chance to become one of the guys amongst the elites, right? And his only recent loss is Sean Strickland. And looking back at it, there's a lot of positives to take away. He went 5 rounds with Strickland, and it wasn't an absolute beating. It was a fight where he lost. Israel Adesanya got wrecked against Sean Strickland. I think that Nassourdine Imavov's time is now. I see him as one of the better middleweights. I think he's one of the best middleweights. I'm underselling him. I do believe Nassourdine Imavov is like a top 4 middleweight. I think Adesanya is all-time great for sure, but he's 35 years old. He's literally done it. Like, he knocked out Alex Pereira. That was like his career pinnacle. He doesn't want to fight Pereira again. I think for Israel Adesanya, a true best case scenario would have been resetting and saying, you know what, let me go up to 205, let me bulk up for a year, and let me try light heavyweight and see how I can mix it up with guys like Yuri Prochazka, or even guys like Jamal Hill, or guys like Khalil Roundtree. That would have been a better career decision. Him staying at 85, I think ultimately he's going to lose against somebody that's just hungrier than him. And I don't know what hunger is left in Adesanya. He's made a shit ton of money. He's fought everybody. He's been the best for a long time. I don't think his confidence is the same. I think we have Imavov's time now. And I think that Imavov as an underdog, I don't know, is a bit of a surprise. I could see it being closer. Maybe I'm crazy for thinking Imavov could have been the favorite, but I was surprised to see him at the dog status. I get it. Adesanya's losses are title fights to Strickland and DDP, the two best at middleweight, arguably. Khamzat's obviously in the mix. And let's be fair, Israel Adesanya would probably struggle a lot in a Khamzat fight. I do think it's kind of odd, though. They chose to give him Imavov because they thought, well, let's do it against a fellow striker, right? Things could be better for Israel Adesanya. He has a chance to get his striking flow going. I don't know. I mean, I think losing to Imavov looks worse than losing to Khamzat. A Khamzat loss for Adesanya is more forgivable. In a Imavov fight, I'm not going to say he's completely irrelevant, but he's truly out of the mix if that happens. Now, if we look at the card, I do want to check it out. We can see what's, being brought to the table for this absolutely stacked fight night. I mean, Shara Bullet versus Michael Venom Page is a crazy fight. I told the people on Livestream I'd give an early pick. Maybe I'm crazy. I'm kind of feeling Shara Bullet. But let's be honest, bro. I didn't put the amount of tape in to Shara and Page as I did to Adesanya Imavov, to be fair. Ikram Aliaskarov has a chance for a bounce back. I think he'll get it. Pavlovich and Rosenstruik's a cool fight. Do think Pavlovich can put Rosenstruik's lights out. Some of these other fights are competitive. Ofli probably going to, I think Ofli should lose to Namath. He got wrecked in the finale of Ultimate Fighter. Vinicius Oliveira, Said Nurmagomedov is a sick bantamweight fight because Oliveira is one of the most talented up-and-comers at bantamweight, but he's super raw, and I do think Said's craftiness and grappling threats could be a factor. We got Hamdi Abdullah Wahab coming back. Everybody forgot about him after the steroids he was taking. You wouldn't have thought so with his physique. Bro, if he can't beat Jamal Pogues, his UFC career is done. Just Jazdavicius Bueno Silva is crazy. Shows Bueno Silva's fallen off. Gaziev Peterson, I think Gaziev wins. Bogdan Grad and Lucas Alexander. Bogdan Grad, bro, he's probably going to get starched by Alexander. He's too chinny. Terrence McKinney and Hadzovic. Bro, if McKinney doesn't win this, he's in a rough spot. Hadzovic tough, but beatable. Abdul Al-Sawadi and Levitt. Levitt's probably taking him down and subbing him. I don't know. These are crazy early picks. These are not official calls, but might as well give UFC Saudi Arabia some early picks. The pick that means the most, though, is Adesanya and Imavov. This video is based on that. How would I rate this card? Damn. I actually love this fight night. I don't know, 8.5 out of 10 fight night? Maybe a 9 out of a 10 fight night. I get mad hype for these Riyadh season cards, man. Saudi Arabia gets bangers on bangers. Adesanya and Imavov feels like a pay-per-view fight that we're getting on a fight night. I think that's pretty dope. Shara Bullet and Michael Venom Page is a super weird clash of strikers. I'm damn excited for UFC Saudi Arabia. This could be it for Israel Adesanya if he loses. I mean, if he's completely out of the title picture with a loss to Imavov, is he really going to stick around? Even though I have my opinions, which are, yo, Adesanya, bro, you have a chance to go up in weight. Do it. Like, decide, hey, let me try to see if I can build my body into light heavyweight and get some big fights there. Because how cool would it be if you would have fought Yuri Prohashka? If Adesanya wins, I still would say consider a move to light heavyweight. Even though you say, oh, he'll probably say, oh, man, but now I feel like I can compete with the best guys at middleweight again. I guess as a fan, I want to see him try his luck in the light heavyweight division. We'll see if that comes to fruition. Overall, I'd say this fight is a W fight. This is a banger fight. I hope you guys enjoyed this early prediction and reaction video. A little bit later than I wanted to release it. I wanted to drop it a couple days ago, but you know what? It's out to you guys now. I hope you like this elaborate early prediction. If you like these style of vids, definitely let me know in the comments down below. There's no UFC fights for a bit, so I'm going to be reacting to everything going on and maybe dropping some more elaborate breakdowns early, way before the cards come together. But I like the reaction style too and just ranting about my thoughts on the fight. I hope you guys enjoyed. Smash the like button here if you're new. Subscribe. W in the comments to boost the algorithm for your boy. I'll see you all on the next one. Peace out.